Yeah, good evening, Joshua.
Good evening.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction. Yeah. Yes, as you spend a lot of years in a particular field, you can see my gray hairs. I've put in a lot of effort to understand logistics and shipping. Historically, shipping has been described as something, a movement of goods from port to port, and logistic was not a part of this word. The word was not being used. Now, after hearing Ankita Murthy, most of the viewers would have now got an idea as to what are we talking about. See, these two good terms, like, it's become very popular, logistics and shipping and supply chain. They seem very new, but actually it is not. It has been happening throughout as long as man started moving goods to sell into the market at the neighboring village or neighboring town. So it's all there. I mean, very beautifully put by Ankita. Thank you very much. So that has prepared a ground for this. And before I actually begin, I must thank Joshua and TTI and AMET University for giving me this opportunity to take this further. Right. And before I begin in right earnest, I would like to share another anecdote which happened in my class. I was dealing with the same subject what Ms. Ankita was explaining just now. She said how everything comes to you not by magic, but somebody is doing something, somewhere some effort has been put. Somehow the things that we need are brought to the place, right? For example, if your coffee is not ready in the morning, I mean, none of the work gets started, right? For me, at least. So when I was taking this class, I had a student who came up to me, sir, I have a question. I'm a very concerned student, right? And he said, sir, I have a very big question. I said, what? See, I'm doing this course in shipping and logistics, and then now I hear that 3D, manufacturing has come into existence. You just take a printout and then you start using those parts. Will this replace the study which I'm doing, and will we have jobs in future after I finish my course? A very interesting question, but then I told them, look, as long as we are alive, as long as you want things to move from one place to another, as long as there is a supply and a demand, right? Logistics and shipping industry is not going to go nowhere. I mean, maybe 3D will, substitute some parts of the components that are required in an emergency, yes. But on a large scale, I don't think 3D can sustain that kind of. Maybe, a lot of science fiction has become reality. Maybe then science fiction, today's science fiction, tomorrow's reality, possible. Not now, not in the next 30 years, not in the next 50 years, maybe not in the next 100 years also. Yeah, so don't worry. I told them not to worry about this one, right? And do your course, understand the processes, and you will be able to secure a job as soon as you finish. And because all these things that we are talking about, I told you, there is somebody who is doing it. It's not magic. Somebody who has to make sure that things are happening. Somebody who has got the expertise in moving goods. Somebody who is operationally has a sound knowledge to get the things moving. Somebody who is giving the IT support, right? A whole range of things. The whole things as like integrated together. And they need people. Without people, nothing is going to happen. Now, if you talk about a big company, when you talk about Walmart, you talk about APL, where I worked, and we talk about any companies like Amazon, what are they? It's just a name board. and just put up a name board and things start working. No, people are working there. People who have got the expertise, people who have got the involvement, people who have got the dedication, people who are day in and day out working on moving things. Yeah, and that's what logistics and shipping is about. Logistics and shipping is a very vast subject, and add supply chain to it. I'll make a distinct difference between the supply chain and the shipping and logistics. For students who are interested in this, because I, being a teacher, always feel that I should give them the processes. Logistics is movement from place A to place B, movement of cargo from one place to another. Fine. You may use any kind of mode today. You may use a rail, you may use air, you may use sea, any mode of transport, yes, by roadways. And now supply chain is slightly even more complex, right? Supply chain takes care of something more than what logistics. Logistics takes care of something which is manufactured and it has to be moved, right? And shipping takes care of the sea leg, when it has to cross the oceans. Yes. Now supply chain is a larger area, more comprehensive, where even this raw material that has to be supplied for the manufacture of the goods, which is going to be shipped to the places where it is required, is what supply chain does. Supply chain makes sure that you source the material properly. You make sure that that raw material reaches the place of manufacture, and then in the manufacturing process takes place, and after that the logistics end. So we are working backwards basically, right? If you look at my history, my study was basically I did shipping, and from shipping I moved on to logistics. And now from logistics I'm moving back to understanding supply chain. So basically that's how it works. I'm sure who are people who are interested in making this a career is thrown open. The entire world is yours. Yeah. And just before doing a little bit of I was doing a little bit of study on this thing, and Joshua is mentioning that can you give me the scope of logistics and shipping? What is the potential of this particular field? Can people make their careers out of this? The answer is yes. People can make careers out of this. And let me tell you, India's GDP, I have to read out some of these details that I've collected, because otherwise, I don't want to give you wrong numbers, right? So I'm always like, I prepare myself for some numbers. Very bad with numbers. GDP is expected to reach 3 trillion in 2020. Yeah, that's the dream. Okay, leave it, change it to 2021, representing about 4% of the global GDP, out of which the manufacturing holds about 20 to 25% to 30% of GDP potential by 2025. Right? I was reading a study on this one. The logistic market is poised to grow at a CAGR. I'll explain what CAGR is. I don't want to use too many words which are not understandable by common. 10% between 2020 and 2025. Yeah. Compound annual growth rate is what CAGR. People who are making this study, making a study of logistics, study of shipping and supply chain, they all work on data, information. That means IT comes into the picture. Information technology has revolutionized the shipping industry. From what I saw 30, 40 years ago, right? 33 years in shipping operations and then 10, 11 years of teaching. IT industry has become the backbone of any industry, including shipping and logistics and all sort of transports. And then e-commerce. We are talking about e-commerce. E-commerce is definitely there. You're not going to change. Yeah. And today, even if we talk about COVID-19 situation, and then it's so difficult to get things out, e-commerce is helping us out in getting the deliveries in time. and all these things. And that is going to contribute a large portion of the growth, logistics and supply chain and shipping growth. Port sector. Now, when we talk about shipping and logistics, we need to understand a lot of other things also. Right? It is not only movement of goods by different modes of transport. These are places where the exchange takes place. Port, for instance, the seaports, the railway hub, where the train, freight train brings in cargo and then it is changed into another mode of transport. So again, railways. And then you have setting up of distribution network, logistic distribution network, container freight stations, all this again, another cluster. So these are all the components of logistics and shipping. And warehousing and distribution is another one. Warehousing is just keeping some things in some safe place and then taking it whenever you want it. But then distribution is again a value-added service, which most of the warehousing companies give. Right? Labeling and then barcoding and all those kind of stuff, because the right thing has to go to the right place. The bottom line is when the customer wants, I always tell my students this story, people who will understand this. When I go to a restaurant, I order a masala dosa, it must be a masala dosa, right? Not a sada dosa. I refuse it. So basically, when a customer makes a demand, when a customer wants something, it has to be there at the right time and the right product. So taking all this into consideration, and then a dedicated freight corridor, right? Unless you have that kind of a dedicated freight corridors, these things do not fall in place, right? Then the Indian logistic sector is currently at 160 billion dollars worth. So by another 5 years, we're looking at, it's going to be 315 billion dollars. So logistic management has been an increasingly interesting topic for not only the practitioners, people who are in the business of logistics or shipping. It is for academicians also. Right? Academicians are also getting interested in this to find out the methods to understand the requirements of the people, requirement of the customer, and make sure that things happen the way we want it, right? And you'll be surprised. So much of potential is there. So much of people are working, and you will be surprised to note. I mean, I was also surprised. In fact, when I read the note, read the report, out of the whole logistics and shipping, only 10 to 15% is in the organized sector. Would you believe it? It's in the organized sector, which means the rest of it is unorganized. You and me can become a logistics service provider, LSP, right? Anyone can become. Anyone want to become an entrepreneur? I want to be an entrepreneur, sir. Yeah, please go ahead. But only thing is you need to know who wants your services, what can you do, and what are your strengths, how can you deliver. Yeah, and you become an LSP. Right. So imagine about 85% is there open for making you a professional and getting it into an organized sector and making that into an organized sector. So imagine, I mean, the world is open to you. Like I told you in the beginning, the world is open to you when you talk about getting into this kind of a profession. Because I told you, as long as people want things moving, as long as people want deliveries on time, as long as there is a demand for a certain product, shipping and logistics is not going to die. Right? Nobody is going to say stop, okay, enough of shipping and logistics. There is no more business for you. No, it doesn't happen that way. Okay, now the academicians and the practitioners are strongly working on reducing the costs. I think very nicely Ankita also mentioned this. She said reducing the cost, which is one of the most important factors for any product to sell. Yeah, any product to sell, if the cost of the material is 50 rupees and my cost of transportation and other services is going to be another 50 rupees, I rather not buy it, right? When the cost is only 50 rupees, right? So basically, it is increased cost, high cost of operation. Yeah, these are some of the points that people are working on, always, yeah, always trying to reduce the cost. Low margins, that's very important. Anyone who wants to work, yeah, they have to work on their reputation, right? A good reputation, and then you get more business, and more business, low margins. Yeah. So low margins. Uh, I wish to underline this particular uh, point: shortage of talent. Shortage of talent. That means we need to develop this talent. We need people who have got the aptitude. We need people who are capable of doing it but don't know what to do. Right? So shortage of talent is what we need to capitalize on to make this industry a more efficient industry, a more what do you call? You get the deliverables in good state. You need to increase the people skills, improve their skills, improve their talents. Yeah. Then of course you have the other things like the infrastructural bottlenecks, and then I mean we used to always say that deliveries have been affected because there is a the roads are not enough, the rail service has been disrupted, and all these things uh, are impediments, like challenges what we talk about. And then of course the present government has taken great initiatives in changing all these things and making sure that there are opportunities available, make use of it. Right? Get people to, and that's what the Prime Minister's favorite new word is called Atmanirbhar. That means be self-reliant, be on your own, right? Now, that's again a different story altogether, because I cannot say I can be totally Atmanirbhar, right? I need somebody to help me out. Okay, but self-reliance, right? So changing government policies in taxation and regulation of on regulations of the service providers, and then of course will play a definitely an important role. And India was a 54th place in the global logistics. I'm reading it out again. Logistics performance in 2014, and then we moved to 35th place. We moved to 35th place. So therefore, you know that there is a lot of potential for us. We have been doing well. There is a lot of opportunity available for youngsters to get into this field and make things happen. So I strongly believe that this is an area of business opportunities, of learning experiences, of development and growth for our country. Thank you, Joshua. Is there anything else that?
Sir, a couple of quick questions to you, sir.
Sure.
Sir, many industries, if you take the IT industry or maybe even the education sector, many industries have been badly affected because of the pandemic, because of COVID-19. Do you think, sir, logistics or shipping sector will go down because of the pandemic? Your opinion on that, sir?
Yeah, definitely. There has been a lot of impact of this pandemic on almost every industry. I can't say no, there was no impact at all. So when the movement starts to be retarded, when there is no one buying or no one selling, then you do have a little bit of lag in your system, but it's not going to be shut down completely. You cannot. Today, this logistic and shipping industry is not only catering to the consumer industry. People, I know, like what Ankita was saying, toothpaste to hair oils to everything, but medical supplies. And all this requires somebody to keep the things moving. I mean, if you don't have people say, no, I'm not going to go out because of the pandemic, everybody is going to die.
So, what, according to you, are the key competency skill set required for logistic professionals, sir?
That's a very interesting question. Yeah. See, basically, it is a customer service. Yeah. Underlying feature of all this service. There are only two things in business. I don't know if there's any third business to this. One is manufacturing. Manufacture as per customer's requirement. Right. That is why people say that, including Gandhiji has said, customer is the king. Right. And the other one is the service sector. Now we belong to the service sector. And when you belong to the service sector, the perception, the level of customer service is a perception, right? So people need to understand what the customer wants, understand and respond to it in an appropriate manner, in a timely manner. And that will definitely raise your level of customer satisfaction, right? People who are have got this intention to help somebody out. Right? It's not that, okay, if you want to buy it, otherwise you forget it. Leave me alone. No, that kind of thing is not going to happen. A service which is dedicated to the customer, a service which can bring in a smile on the customer is what everybody is looking at, right? And a timely service, all these things, if you are ready to do it, there's no time, right? There's no time frame. There is no, not they say, not leaving any stone unturned. Yeah, you have to make sure that things happen so that the customer is satisfied and he comes back to you. Right? Customer satisfaction, customer relationship, customer retaining, all these things are part of this customer, I mean, the logistics and shipping. Yeah. Now, unless you have that, it's not a one-time business. It's not that one customer comes and goes and then your business is finished. You have to maintain this relationship with the customer. If you have got that in you, any student, any person, anyone, I call them cog in the wheel. Every person who is working in an organization is a cog in the wheel who make the machinery work, right? Just if you want to move smoothly, everybody should work, correct? If one cog in the wheel is not working, and everything comes to a standstill, right? So people should be able to develop that kind of a attitude to help people to see that the urgency. Yeah. Before I close, I'd like to tell you one more thing on logistics and shipping. Many a times I ask my students the question. Yeah, we have learned a lot from the armed forces. From the armed forces, I mean the Army, Navy, Air Force, and all these armed forces. And I asked my students, okay, what is the similarity between logistics and shipping and, of course, supply chain added, and the armed forces working, people who work with the armed forces. Many a times people are not able to explain to me. Many a times we don't get the right answer. Right. Now, I tell them, I explain to them, like if there is a battle being fought in a front, right? And arms, ammunition, food, material, everything has to go and reach that place in time. Otherwise the battle is lost. Army marches on the stomach, right? And if it doesn't happen, you've lost the battle. So same thing happens here in shipping and logistics. The customer is on fire. The customer has got a commitment he has made with his customer overseas, and unless things happen in time, the shipment takes place in time, and the cargo reaches the destination in time, you lost the business, right? So that is what I wanted to explain. The urgency of any shipping and logistic person, yeah, is this, that they have to meet that requirement, to have to expedite the movement. Yeah. In fact, there is a logistic company which is called Expeditors. Basically do expediting. Yeah. Thank you.
Sir, thank you very much, sir, for sharing your valuable inputs about
Yeah.
logistic, supply chain, shipping, and you explained very patiently about the difference and all that, and how India works, where India is going to lead into the future of logistics and shipping, sir. So, thank
Yeah.
you very much for sharing your valuable thoughts and being with us today, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity, Joshua. Tatti has done a great job. I thank AMET once again for nominating me as a panelist. Thank you.